Hi everybody, my name is Ivana Kvesic. I have the privilege to discuss what the Transnational Security Group talked about as far as the applicability and practicality of the GPI, and then also the concerns and the different ideas we had with the GPI. So I must, before I begin, as a transnational security concentration, I was a little hesitant and worried that the people that came in would be a little bit negative to this idea of peace, and it actually turned out to be very positive with great results, so I'm excited about that. First, why we find it applicable to policymakers and practical. The focus on metrics or measuring peace gives it legitimacy in policymaking circles, as opposed to other sort of focuses that are on advocacy, as opposed to metrics. So these give people numbers and metrics that can enable them to understand the levels of peace in a society. And then another positive aspect we found was that we debated about the broadness of the general indicators, but we decided ultimately that the broadness of the general indicators are important because for policymakers, they give them a quick snapshot of the peace in a society, and it makes it easy to read, makes it easy to apply. And then we talked about the importance of the early warning signals that Steve had mentioned earlier and how applicable that is to a security standpoint and for a security policymaker. The example that came up was Afghanistan, and just if we had capitalized, if we had used the GPI in our foreign policy with Afghanistan, we might have gone in with a better, a more integrated approach and not see the escalating violence that we see now. And then overall, we just decided that it was a useful metric that could be used to justify increased or reallocated spending on security that focuses on the drivers of peace as well as boots on the ground. So it's a good tool for that aspect. And then two concerns that came up during our conversation was one, the indicators on external conflict we felt can be problematic because if a country is deploying peacekeepers, then their indicators might go down, and then but they're actually doing something to promote peace, and so it might kind of hinder a country's desire to have troops go into peacekeeping. And then another issue that we came up with was just the comparative size. It's difficult to measure peace when you're talking about countries that are so vastly different, and the example that came up was measuring Liechtenstein's peace to India's, where India you have a diverse population, and Liechtenstein you have a very homogeneous one. So our three ideas that we came up with for strengthening the GPI and its use in foreign policy circles are to include an indicator of the strength of institutions. I know that some of the indicators do include institution-like factors, but we feel like focusing directly on institutions can give a better idea of just how the society is peaceful in general. And then we also decided that it would be interesting from a security perspective to divide the rankings. We know that 60% of the rankings are based on internal peace and 40% on external peace. And so we were thinking if you did two separate rankings, external and internal, that would be positive for policymakers so that they can focus on what the actual internal issues are as opposed to the external issues. And then the last issue that idea that we came up with was branding. This was an idea that to rename the Global Peace Index actually to the Global Peace and Security Index. And this is because many of the people in the transnational security concentration find peace to be an aspiration and security to be something tangible, something that we can actually hold on to. So if we expand the name, then we kind of expand the index to policymakers in all fields, because security is directly correlated to pretty much everything and the functioning of society. And we need peace and security to be in cooperation with each other to actually have this GPI work, so that they're not competing against each other, they're working together. So thank you very much.